Good morning, Hamilton. This is Rob Golfi with RE/MAX, the Golfi Team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton edition with host Rick Zamprin.
Yes, it is the final weekend of October. We have a lot of great things to discuss. Of course, if you're at the kitchen table discussing whether or not you want to sell your home, you got to call the Golfi Team. They're Hamilton and Burlington's #1 RE/MAX team in volume and unit sales. 905-575-7700 is the phone number to call. That's 905-575-7700. Online, the website is robgolfi.com. The hottest listings in town are on that website, robgolfi.com. The Golfi Team is all over social media as well, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Find them out, like them, follow them. And if you have a question for the Golfi Team, or you want us to discuss a certain topic on the show, send them an email, questions@robgolfi.com. That's questions@robgolfi.com. Of course, it is Halloween weekend. We're going to focus a little bit later on in the program on the spookiness of real estate and the spookiness of Halloween weekend, if you will. We have a special guest that we will introduce her to you in a matter of moments. But before we get to that, what is happening in real estate these days, Rob?
It's still rocking. Inventory, I mean, it's selective. We got houses are on the market a little longer. The ones that are priced probably a little higher than they should be. But again, houses under the $600,000 mark are just moving fast. Like we just, a client of mine wanted to put an offer in on a property in Hamilton, and they were asking $800,000. And I said to him, "There's 15 offers, and it's going to go close to $1 million." And I said, "There's no sense." And I go, 15 offers. It's, and they priced it aggressively, purposely. And I said to my client, "Look, you're just helping the cause of pushing the market up if you put an offer in." And I go, "There's 15 offers. You're definitely going to see something 100 to 200,000 over asking." So it's you know what? It's still moving along. It's just incredible how it's still continuing, and the unit numbers are down from last year because there's no inventory. And last year there wasn't any inventory, but for some reason the numbers were a lot higher in unit numbers last year versus this year, even though inventory was down last year. But for some reason more houses sold last year. So again, like we talked before, there's a shortage of houses out there, and it's getting more and more expensive. So, but right now I tell people, buy a house that is overpriced and go in with a lower offer. You've got a great chance of getting a house at market value now with those overpriced houses and submitting an offer. And so, like I said, people don't hesitate. The longer the house has been on the market, it's a better chance for you to go in and negotiate without having to be competing with other people. So, yeah, that's what's happening in the marketplace.
How would you describe the month of October, whether or not you want to compare it to last October, which was pretty kind of crazy, or just the traditional October? How would you surmise this month?
Well, last year in October was an incredible month last year, and the real estate board is down in numbers, but we're busy. Like we're always busy, Rick. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard for us to gauge to see if we're like our numbers are different than the real estate board numbers because we're always trending up. The real estate board is the average, and their numbers aren't gonna. They reflect that there's less sales for the month of October versus last year, and our numbers are up compared to last year. So it is a great month so far, better than September in our opinion. September was just a mediocre, good month, but our October looks like we're going to hit some record numbers this year. So, but again, inventory's low, and people are still looking. People are still looking. A lot of people we're finding. A lot of young people are out there buying, and it's still continuing.
We know that housing affordability obviously still very much a hot topic in the city, in this country. We know that home prices have skyrocketed. If you're a first-time home buyer or just trying to get into the market in a specific city, it is a tough go. So there is no surprise in a report from CIBC, which found that roughly 30% of first-time home buyers and nearly 9% of existing homeowners received financial help from family this past year to purchase a home. So the CIBC data shows that first-time home buyers received an average gift size of $82,000, while mover-uppers were gifted a whopping average of $128,000 in September of 2021. That's a lot of zeros.
It is, and they would know the numbers because when they're doing mortgages, if the buyer is buying and if they don't have the money in their account, they have to verify where this money's coming from. And so they have those numbers like right to a T. And we do know that, yes, absolutely, a lot of families are giving their kids money to afford the house. And it's the only way they can get into the marketplace. If they don't get that help, they're still going to be renting and they're never going to be able to get in the marketplace. So it's definitely happening more and more now than ever before.
In 2015, close to 20% of first-time home buyers received an average of $52,000 in help from family. That average is now $82,000. I can't imagine what that number is going to look like in about 5 years. It's going to be six figures. It's got to be.
Oh, absolutely. So what's happening right now, especially during COVID, people's homes went up in value quite a bit. So there's a percentage of them refinancing their house, giving the deposit to their kids, and so that they can buy. So now they've got a lot of equity. Now there's the other part where they're just not refinancing. They have the money. They're older. They've saved a lot of money, but they are kind of feeling sorry for the young generation because they're not going to be able to afford to buy a house if they don't have that help. They're just going to be sitting on the sidelines and they're going to fall, and they're just going to keep falling behind. So the only way they can do it is just kind of advancing them, maybe their inheritance, 30 years or 20 years earlier, and but it's just the way it's going, and I was surprised to hear like the average gift that the parents are giving to these kids to afford these homes, but they have no choice. They need it. They need the help.
That average in Toronto is $130,000, and the average in Vancouver, no surprise, because the average price in Vancouver is over $2 million. But the average price or the average gift from a parent or parents to a child is $180,000 in Vancouver. That's extraordinary. Are you seeing more and more often parents or family members contributing to the home buying process?
Absolutely. Sometimes if their credit rating is not really that good, they have to go on title just so that they can get in, and eventually once they build their credit rating, they can come off title on the house. But yeah, there's a lot. We deal with a lot of families that have gift letters. But what comes with that sometimes is the parent, if they're too much in control, they will dictate whether they want their kids to have that house that their kids love. And sometimes they kill a deal. Like the kids come in, they are all excited, they bought a house, and then the parents come in and look at it, and they're going, well, listen, I'm not going to give you the $150,000 for your down payment if you're buying this house. I don't like this house. So sometimes you get the odd one like that, and it becomes a little tough sometimes. And either their son or daughter, they're so in love with this house, and they sometimes walk away in tears because their parents won't let them buy the house that they truly love. And you know what? Again, like the younger generation, they have a different way of living than we're used to living as older adults, what they're looking for. So it just depends on the family, on how they're dealing with each individual deposit or down payment that they're helping them with the gift letter and the house that they're buying.
We are going to, I guess, move or meld into the spookiness of the show, and we're going to chat about a stigmatized house, buying and selling a stigmatized house. So what does stigmatized mean?
Okay, so according to the Real Estate Council of Ontario, a stigma can be defined as a non-physical, intangible attribute of property that may elicit a psychological or emotional response on the part of a potential buyer. Stigmas that could affect a buyer's decision-making the process include, let's say if the property was used for ongoing crime, if the property was owned by a notorious individual or a criminal, or if the house was a former grow-op that has been remediated, or if a murder occurred on the property. So you know what? Again, like buyers, they have to be very aware. Like I had a lawyer state that most real estate lawyers and real estate agents in Ontario will agree that the best course of action when purchasing a property is to ask the sellers about the existence of any stigmatization issues, unlike leaking and septic tanks and holes in the roof and all that kind of stuff. So basically, if you know, like nobody asks us questions. Do you guys have any paranormal activity in the house? I've never had that. Or is there any haunted houses? Is the house haunted? People don't ask that question. Now, if the homeowner knows that, like beds are being moved in the middle of the night, that they can't understand what it is, I think that they should disclose that. And now realtors may not know that. And unless it's already been in the newspapers, it's already been, advertised of that. And sometimes people don't believe in that and they just go ahead. But there's a lot of people that do. A lot of people don't want a house that somebody's passed away in. A lot of people don't want a house that somebody was murdered or committed suicide. So there is that stigma. So it's always good to check. My theory is Google the address. But we've got Lynn Nicholls here that's going to be helping us out and talking about more about this.
Yeah, Lynn Nicholls is an intuition expert and psychic medium. Her website is lynnnicholls.com. Lynn, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. Good morning. And hey, Rob, nice to see you again.
We had Lynn last year on the show. It was fantastic.
It was, yeah. Lynn, we got about a minute here. Just in terms of a stigmatized house, do you see many of them? Do you enter these places?
Oh, I won't go in them. No.
Wow.
I think she sees dead people.
I might see a few. I don't do haunted houses, but I am very intrigued by them. I do like to cautiously go through and see how I feel. And I can usually pick up on something, though it's not my specialty. I tend to talk more to spirits than to ghosts. But I don't mind a good haunted house as long as they're not going to jump out of the corner and scare the you-know-what out of me.
Yeah, I can hear that. We're going to have more with Lynn. We're going to ask her about, some spooky experiences, how she got to where she is, and how she does what she does. You're listening to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton Edition, on 900 CHML. If you have a real estate question or a topic idea we'd like us to pounce upon on a future program, send them an email. Again, questions at robgolfi.com. We have a special guest on today's show as well. It's Halloween season. The big day is tomorrow. Lynn Nicholls is an intuition expert and psychic medium. Her website is lynnnicholls.com. Lynn, welcome to the show, and maybe give us a little history lesson on how you became an intuition expert and a psychic medium.
Oh, we go way back to when I was about 12, and I grew up in a house in downtown Niagara Falls. And what Rob was talking about earlier when we were chatting is, the beds started moving. The closet doors started shaking.
Oh.
So this is when The Exorcist came out. So at 12, seeing this, it was pretty scary. And a little boy came to me and said, my daddy killed us all, and then he killed himself. Can you help us get there? And he pointed to what I didn't see, but he described as a light. And
hey, Lynn, let me just interrupt real quick because my computer just crashed. So we'll have to restart this segment again. Sorry. Give me 30 seconds.
No problem.
Sorry.
His computer crashed.
When I was doing CHCH yesterday morning, the whole building went out.
No kidding.
Did you see that? The whole building went out. And the last time I was there 2 years ago, the video went out.
Oh boy!
Right.
I'm like,
did you hear what? Did you hear what just happened?
Yeah, I
just
heard that. Yeah.
CHCH.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rick.
That's okay. We're back rolling again. Let me restart from the top, and here we go. This is the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton Edition on 900 CHML. My name's Rick Samprin. Rob Golfi is a sales representative with RE/MAX Escarpment Realty, the Golfi team. You can find him online at robgolfi.com. That's Rob, GOLFI.com. And call Hamilton and Burlington's #1 RE/MAX team in volume and unit sales, 905-575-7700. That's 905-575-7700. Follow the Golfi team on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you have a topic idea or question for the Golfi team, send them an email. questions at robgolfi.com. That's questions at robgolfi.com. Halloween is just a day away, and we have a special guest today as well. Her name is Lynn Nicholls, intuition expert and psychic medium. You can find her online at lynnnicholls.com. Lynn, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining us here today.
Oh, thank you. Good morning.
We should let our listeners know that we had a computer crash here during the commercial break, and you have a story to tell about a recent episode at CHCH TV in which there was also a technical malfunction. So is this a coincidence or something happening here?
Oh, goodness. Folks, I already apologized to Rick already. I was doing a CHCH interview yesterday morning, and the whole building, the power went out.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when I did it there, all the video went out.
Oh, wow.
So Rob, if your building falls into a sinkhole, I do apologize. We will run.
I better call my insurance company to make sure I'm fully insured.
Exactly. So, Lynn, tell us about how you became an intuition expert and a psychic medium.
So we go way back into the 70s and 80s. And I was the kid who had imaginary friends, heard things, saw things people didn't see, parents just brushing it off as imagination. And so did I, up until I was about 12, when my bed was shaking, my closet doors were shaking, and I would have thought I was crazy. But my sister, who shared a room with me, said, "Can you stop that?" So finally, at one point, I said, "How can I get this to stop?" And a little 5-year-old boy walked up to my bed and said, "My daddy killed us all, and then he killed himself. Can you help us get there?" And he was pointing to what I didn't see, but he said, "There's a light there we need to get to." So I helped him, and then he came back afterwards. I helped the whole family, and he said, "Now I have a special gift for you." And I'm a kid in the 80s. I'm thinking it's an Atari or something fun like that. And he says, "I know you have an ability, but here's a gift. I want to make it better." And ever since then, I was able to do a heck of a lot more, but, boys and school and do the right thing. So I was a teacher for a long time, but teaching a classroom full of kids and their dead aunts and uncles and their dead grandparents got very overwhelming. So in 2005, I left teaching, and I've been a psychic medium doing readings and all those sorts of things ever since. And I'm happy to connect people to the other side, but I am even more happy to teach people how to do it for themselves. So I do really enjoy that.
Wow. That's amazing.
So with that first experience, Lynn, how did you know what to do? Was it just an intuition or a feeling that you were getting?
A little bit of that, and the fact that this little fella whose name is Leo, or was Leo, told me what to do every step of the way. And the dad was the hardest one to cross over. He was an ornery old fart. So that was trouble.
I can't believe that. So, Lynn, I got to ask you something.
Yeah.
We're going to go through some houses, but one thing, can you actually see what I'm thinking in my head right now? Mm-hmm. Like, tell me what am I thinking?
So what I do there is I sit here and I not absorb Rob's brain, because who wants to do that? but I put it in my head. So let me just take a second. So I just take a quick deep breath, and then, oh my goodness, Rob.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to,
okay.
We can't look at this, and we cannot say this in air, Rick.
Okay, Rick, let me shake my head. I'm going to clear my mind again. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I cleared my mind. Okay, Lynn, one more time. Sorry. Please don't tell anybody what you saw in my head. Okay.
I'm putting it on the internet. That was ridiculous.
Okay. One more time.
So we're going to go for the PG version of Rob's brain.
Okay.
Oh shoot. I don't think there's a PG version of Rob's brain.
Okay.
One sec. It's very busy in there. There's houses flying everywhere, just like Wizard of Oz. Oh, okay. You know what, Rob? I don't want to say anything that's going on in your head. I think I need a drink. I know it's early.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just skip.
We're going to skip this, please.
Let's just skip this. Let's just skip my brain. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough of that. Okay. No problem. Okay. Rick. Okay. No problem. Maybe we have to cut that. We have to cut that segment part out.
Off air.
Okay. So, but anyway. So I guess that must be amazing. Remember that movie on TV with Mel Gibson? He could read all the women's minds.
Oh, what women are thinking.
Yeah, what women are thinking.
Yes.
Oh boy. So anyway, let's not talk about me, about what's going on in my head. Let's talk about some of the houses that have been have history of paranormal or whatever. So what's Rick, anyone that you're thinking of or that you can talk about?
Well, I've had an instance in my house, and I've talked about this on the show before, but I was in Dundurn Castle a few years ago for a tour. It was as part of the Open Doors initiative that the city of Hamilton held, and you can go to Dundurn Castle, you can go to a Whitehorn House, I think it's called, the Museum of Steam and Technology. They open up a bunch of doors and invite you in to learn about the history. So Dundurn Castle, it has a bit of a history in terms of paranormal activity. Nothing that is really outlandish, but we know it's been there for eons. Is that famous for paranormal activity?
Dundurn Castle certainly is famous for paranormal activity. It said that Alan McNabb's wife, Mary, haunts the grounds, as well as the men that were hung for treason. I personally have never seen them. I've been to Dundurn Castle a few times during the day. I will not go at night. No, thank you. But it says that the whole family's there, but more importantly, Mary's still there. She died of consumption in the house. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and she loved her house so much, she doesn't want to leave.
Holy smokes. But you know what? Like, now, would somebody... Like, is Dundurn Castle's owned by the city of Hamilton?
Right.
Am I correct about that? So
it's a museum.
It's a museum. So now that probably will never be sold. It'd always be owned by the city of Hamilton. But if they ever sold that, like, would it be more, because it is a museum, would it be more valuable or would it be less valuable? Like, I mean, if somebody else bought it and kept it as a museum, not a problem. But to live in there,
wow.
Like, I don't know, like. I don't even know, Rick. Does anybody live in Dundurn Castle, like just like a maintenance caretaker or anything like that?
I don't think so. I don't think they live there. I think they work there. So it's maintenance staff or it's the tourism operators, the people that work the grounds. But I don't think anybody sleeps in a bed at night at Dundurn Castle.
So
not to my knowledge.
So basically, anybody that's there, it's usually during the daytime. Who knows if they had some cameras going on at night? There's probably parties going on in there at night that we don't know about. Like, who knows what goes on at night inside Dundurn Castle?
There might be. Might be. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's been like, I mean, literally nobody's there at night. And who knows what, it's like that show with, who was it? All the animals came to alive in that museum. Museum.
Night at the museum.
Yeah, Night at the Museum. Everything came to life.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that's what's going on in Dundurn Castle. But yeah, I could see that building there. How many? That's is it 150, 200 years old?
Yeah,
it's way up there. So I would imagine there is probably some stuff happening that we don't see or know about. But I bet you if they had some cameras in there, or that might pick up something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
no, you bring up a good point, Rob, because people will say, well, why is it always haunted at night? Because the world's a little quieter. And so we're more in tune to it. So we hear the things we're not supposed to hear. Now, I mean, it's an old building. You might be hearing the mouse in the walls or the bats in the belfry, so to say. But at night, they do tend to be more active because we're calmer and the world's calmer. So they're able to connect more easily. And what's neat about Dundurn Castle, and I don't know if it's directly across, but across the road is a purportedly quite haunted cemetery too.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yes.
It's a very old cemetery. Yeah. So I could imagine there's a few people that are a couple hundred years old laying down there in that cemetery. That is amazing, though, eh? Like, it's like they should make that into a Halloween night at Dundurn Castle and really see some crazy things that happen over there.
Like Casa Loma does, too.
Oh, in Toronto.
Yeah.
Do they do something there for Halloween?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I would love to check that out.
Me too.
I've been inside that place. It's like it is very,
incredible.
very, what would the word be, Viking kind of like yeah. I can't come up with the word for that, but it's very very lot of history there. There's no doubt about that. But I didn't know that Casa Loma, is it Casa Loma? Is that what they call it? Yeah. I've been there, and I had dinner there one time at a function, and it was it does have the feel of that. Some people can be wandering at night that are ghostly looking. But there's what other houses? We got the Century Manor. That's a house on what's that? The Assigned Salem. That's
Yes.
It was closed in 1994, being used as a hospital, addictions for forensic and psychiatry wing detention center for the criminally insane. So this is on Asylum. What is it? The East House of Hamilton's how do you say? Asylum of the insane. Do you know anything about that one?
I know that treatments, quote unquote treatments they did there were actually torture. Like they tortured these poor people, and whether these people were actually clinically insane or not, who knows? It could be somebody that said, I don't like that person, put them in there. So there was a lot of quote unquote, again, normal people there that got tortured instead of treated. And what happens in places like this where there's so much going on and so many huge, heavy emotions is energy can get trapped. So whereas it might not just be one spirit haunting it, it's a collective of spirits. And there's a very funny, I think it's funny story about a security guard who worked there alone in the asylum after it closed down, but having to, monitor the property. And somehow he just kind of wandering around, probably checking his phone or something, ended up in the underground tunnels. And he got lost. He got discombobulated. He didn't know where he was. And he heard something behind these doors. So he's like, oh, gosh, I don't want to go, but I'm the security guard. It's my job. So he walks down and, he just musters all his courage. He opens the door to this old room and sees two nurses sitting at this table and just stared at him right in the eye. And then the one looked at the other and said, see, I told you he'd find us. And he ran like, you know what, right out of that building.
No kidding. No kidding. Now there's that brings the hairs up on the back of your neck on that one. Oh my God. But I'm sure a lot of people would like to walk into a room with two nurses.
Maybe in trashy Halloween costumes.
Yeah. But otherwise, Akamar Mansion. Now I think did this just sell? Rick, there was something about this. They were doing the Akamar Mansion. It's at the corner of Fennel and West Fifth. Originally owned by Isaac Buchanan, prominent merchant and politician. He raised 11 children, and his wife Agnes there said to the house ghosts from various generations, including Isaac Buchanan himself.
Wow, he loved the house.
I also toured this one too as part of Open Doors Hamilton.
Oh, wow.
I believe the city still opens this, and this one, more so than Dundurn Castle, this one has an eerie feeling to it. And this was during the day, wasn't at night. There was a lot of people in the house, but you just got that kind of weird feeling inside.
Yeah,
Oh.
I bet you. I bet. Yeah. It's just, you know what? I don't know how these, they're like afterlife. Like they're like people just, it's like watching the show Ghost, eh? Remember, what's his name? Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
He didn't quite leave. He was still lingering around with, and then Goldie, no, not Goldie.
Demi Moore.
Demi Moore and the other girl.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi,
You know what I was saying. And trying to find his way and stuff like that. But I guess, I don't know. Now, this is what I heard, that, and I can't remember where I heard this from. A hospital put a shelf at the very top of the room, like at the very, close to the ceiling where people couldn't see it, like, and they put things all on the top of that shelf, and and nobody would see it. So what happened was, they would, if somebody was on the verge of dying, and they brought him back and if anybody said they saw this,
Right.
like the only way you can see it is you have to be floating.
Yeah.
To higher than a person. And they did say that sometimes people did see it. So
Wow.
so there must be some kind of spirit afterlife of some sort. Like I don't know, but it does give you definitely hairs on your neck to go up. So it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it gives you the chills. We got to run here to our next commercial break, but we have more with Lynn Nicholls, intuition expert and psychic medium. You can find her information online at lynnnicholls.com, and we'll chat about whether a house can be haunted or something nearby it can be haunted. It doesn't have to be a physical space. We'll get to that when we come back here on the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton Edition on 900 CHML. Does it have to be a house? Can a spirit or an entity occupy a space like a field?
Oh, for sure. For sure they can. Have you ever been to Niagara on the Lake and walked through one of those fields that was on the battlefield?
Yeah.
Sometimes you catch things out of the corner of your eye, or they're limping through the field. It's very interesting. So no, it doesn't have to be a structure. It can be a field. It can be a ship. It can be the beach. It can be anywhere where the ghost or when they were a human felt attached to, and maybe they've got unfinished business or they just don't want to carry on. They're just ornery old ghosts and they don't want to leave.
And so what keeps them there? Is it that unfinished business? Is it the way that they died? Is there something that they think they have to do? Take us through their, I guess, thought process.
Yeah, so ghosts, how you died doesn't really matter, whether it's murder, suicide, whatever, or whether you died of illness. That doesn't determine if you're going to be a ghost or not. But sometimes it's what you said, Rick. It's unfinished business, or they felt trapped in the location when they were alive, so they stay there. So there's 100 different reasons, and I guess it's personal to the ghost itself. But it's always interesting, and they do seem to be repeating the same circumstances over and over. So, for example, at Drummond Hill Cemetery in Niagara Falls, you'll see the same 3 soldiers trudging up the hill over and over and over again. They're stuck in a loop. It's like a ghostly loop.
Those are the 3 soldiers they have on the they put
on the honor.
They put like a
commemorative wall.
Yeah, like as you drive through, that's on Lundy's Lane there, and it merges to Ferry Street, and it's
right.
They got, is it 3 soldiers they have up there on either side?
Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to look next time.
Yeah, they've got like the 3 soldiers. I know that cemetery pretty good because I've been in there. Believe me, you don't want to go there at nighttime. It's pretty eerie there. That's for sure.
Another place too is the Screaming Tunnel. I mean, that's not a house, but it is a location or a landmark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the Screaming Tunnels is like a high school kind of thing everybody wants to go to, and it's there's 2 or 3 different myths about this tunnel.
Yeah.
And it's a girl that was escaping the house that was on the other side of the tunnel, and that tunnel was for water to pass through. Yes. Yeah. It isn't 3. Is it 3?
No, there's several.
Oh, you found it. Yeah.
I have a picture of the Lundy's Lane Battlefield Memorial.
Yeah. But anyway, the Screaming Tunnel, it was always known as a Screaming Tunnel. There's like many stories, like the house was on fire, and the little girl, she was on fire. She was running through the tunnel, and she was screaming, and she died there. There was another one that maybe she was being raped and trying to get away. There's so many different stories about this Screaming Tunnel, and we really, I don't know which is the real story, but the great story is, though, if you want to get scared and have some fun, go to the Screaming Tunnels. And I think this time of the year where we're in right now, a lot of people go there at night. And
the thing is, you go there with a book of matches at midnight.
Yeah.
And you go to the center of the tunnel and you light your match. And if you're lucky, she'll blow it out for you. Wow. And you might hear her scream. But hey, you know what? it can get windy in there. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it could be the wind.
It's pretty eerie there too.
Yeah.
So if you ever get a chance, Google Screaming Tunnel and it's in Niagara Lake and Niagara Falls, Niagara Lake.
Yeah, the dead end of Warner Road in Niagara Falls. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get down there, you might see a lot of people there. There might be a line up there.
And lots of ticks.
Yeah. Be careful. Be careful. Bring some spray to take those ticks off. So, because you're gonna have to go through some brush and grass there. So, but that's pretty wild.
When we come back in our final segment here, we're going to chat about so you're living in a home or you've just purchased a home and you're noticing things not quite right. What can you do? Well, Lynn will have some advice and some tips and maybe some suggestions to visit her website at lynnicholls.com as well. You're listening to the Golfi Real Estate Show Hamilton Edition on 900 CHML. Lynn, before we get to, if someone has bought a home and they kind of have that eerie feeling and what they should do, I always wonder if you're out shopping for groceries or you're buying a new TV or whatever the case is, you're driving along, do you get all sorts of different feelings during your day?
I used to, but I turn that off, and everybody has the ability to turn that off. So I only tune in when I'm working, or I can be interrupted in my day if there's an emergency with my kids, someone I love, my friends. So no, I don't go around all the time, but I could turn it on in a snap if I need to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, so someone has bought a home or they've been living in a house for a few years and they're noticing, some weird stuff going around. What should they do?
Well, before you go ghost, you have to examine, make sure there's no faulty wiring, make sure there's no mice in the walls, nothing like that. If you get creepy, eerie feelings, some people are very sensitive to EMF fields. So if it's an old house, there's tons of old wiring, you might be more sensitive to that. And that can actually make you feel paranoid, like you're being watched. It's a very bizarre feeling. And what's good is to keep an activity log, see if it's anything legitimate, see if it's repeated, see if it comes at a certain time of day, if there's any coincidences. But if you can live with them, if they're friendly, go ahead. Like, I know some of my clients that come by and say, you know what, they're here. I tell them as long as they don't scare me, they're welcome to stay. But if they really do bother you, you can put your foot down and say, you need to leave and stay away. And always add in stay away, because they'll walk out the door and then come right back. They said, I left, I'm back. So I always say stay away. And if you want to really emphasize it, open a door or open a window. Not that they are consciously aware of it, but it makes it more concrete. You can also try smudging with sage. You can try spraying with holy water if you believe in these kinds of things. You can spread salt around your doorways.
Do you need to wear garlic around your neck?
That would
garlic
be great.
Cloves?
Yeah. And if you could carry a wooden stake and a silver bullet in your gun, that would be great. Like there's lots of what they say are like Wiccan type ways of taking care of it. But I think your intention of not allowing them to stay there is important. You can just sit down and have a conversation. Look, you know what? You're scaring my kids. We're not comfortable with you here. If you want to stay, you have to stay very quiet. But if you have somewhere to go, we'd prefer you move on and stay away. So you can do that. You have to be very firm and sympathetic, because they're stuck. But if you are really stuck and you can't get rid of them, call somebody who's an expert in the field.
I got it. I know what to do.
Oh, boy.
So when you're, so this is what I would do. So I'm laying there and say, hey, listen, I really appreciate you, but can you go to 123 Main Street and stay there and terrify those guys at that house, or go to your neighbor's house? Say,
send them to your exes.
Yeah, that's it. Send them to your ex, or send them to the neighbor that bothers you a lot. Say, hey, listen, the guy next door, he deserves your haunting of this. Go. You'd say, please leave, stay away from here, but enter there and don't listen to what he says about you staying away from there. Just stay there.
You're in the wrong business, Rob. That's what you should get into.
Oh my God.
Brilliant.
Unbelievable. Stay away is the key word. Stay away.
Yeah. And firm. And you have to believe that. Yeah.
So, Lynn, when you're telling, or if anyone were to tell an entity, I guess, to go away and stay away, where do they go? Do they just circle the block? Are they just hanging outside? Like, what are they doing?
They're peering in your windows, watching you sleep at night. Yeah. You know what? I don't know. They just go away, and I honestly don't care as long as they're out of my house. So they may, like Rob said, go to the
neighbor's house
down the street. Yeah. They may go connect with some of their ghost friends and hang out where their ghost friends are hanging out. So where do they go? Wherever they want.
There you go. Unbelievable. Cool. Unbelievable.
We got to go. Rob, Lynn, thank you very much for your time today. Enjoy the holiday weekend, or the Halloween weekend, I should say. It's not a holiday. Well, it's kind of a holiday for some, I guess.
For some of us.
Yeah, for some. And you can certainly get more information about Lynn and all the great stuff that she does online at lynnnicholls.com. And if you're buying or selling a house, you got to get to robgolfi.com. That's Rob, GOLFI.com. Thanks for listening to the Golfi Real Estate Show. We're back next Saturday at 9 on 900 CHML.